Hi guys, in this video we're going to make a baby Bugs Bunny cake. So I've got a nice big cake board for my cake to go on. I've printed off a picture, I've actually printed off two pictures, a body of Mickey Mouse and a head of little baby Bugs Bunny. But obviously you can print off an image of whatever you want. So I've cut round that and I've got two thin cakes now which we're going to buttercream and put a little bit of jam in, and then we'll put those together. So I haven't quite gone to the edges, but I'm not too worried about that as we're going to be cutting around the template, so the edges are going to be removed from the cake. So we're going to put these together. So once you've sandwiched it together, we're going to put our little template on. Now mine's just a little bit too big, but I'm not too worried about that, because what we'll do is when we cut off these extra bits, I can use those to put under the little bits of the ears. So you'll see he's going to get grease running through him, but that's fine. So we'll place that on here and we're going to cut around the edge. So just make sure you've got a sharp knife and we're just going to cut in. Now, it's easier to cut in lots of straight lines. So save your offcuts, ready for any bits that we're a little bit short on. So we're a little bit short on the ears, so what I'm going to do is take in a cut off. I'll just create a nice flat bit so it fits against the end, and then we'll cut around that again. Doesn't have to be too accurate, don't worry if you've not got every fine bit of detail in, that's fine. And what we're going to do now is just transfer this onto the board. So I'm just going to put a little bit of buttercream on the centre of my board to stick him onto. And then we'll put a little bit more where we're going to stick his ear. Push that down because we don't want it to stick over the top bit of the board, so we'll move him down just a little bit, like so. Okay. So now we're going to fully cover him in buttercream. So we're just going to put a thin layer of buttercream all the way over the top and also around the sides. If you find it's crumbling a little bit much, you can stick it in the freezer for sort of 15 minutes to firm it up, just to make it a little bit easier for adding the buttercream, as the sides might crumble a little bit when you're adding it. So that's buttercream now all the way around. So I'm going to move this to one side and I'm going to take some fondant and we're just going to roll this out for covering it. We're starting with white. I'm just putting some corn flour down on the work surface. Right, so once you've rolled it out large enough, you're going to put it onto your cake. Now, if I move my icing over here, you're not going to see what I'm doing, so somebody's going to push the cake under for me. And we're just going to lay that on like that. So we're just going to gently start pushing into each of the cracks, just gently pulling it round to cover. If you push too hard in one go, what you'll find is it will just tear. Just pushing it down into that bottom corner. And I'm just going to take a smoother to give it a quick rub on the top to try and keep it nice and smooth. And what I'm going to do now is just go around the edge with a knife. So I'm just going to move this to one side again, and I'm going to take some pale blue fondant, and we're now going to create the body. Fortunately, the paper's a little bit greasy from me putting it on the cake, but we're going to cut out this shape here. So we're going to roll it out nice and thin. Just make sure it's big enough for the body to go on, which it is. So I'm going to take my body off my head now. I'm going to cut off this little yellow bit here. We'll leave these bits on for the time being. And we're just going to cut around. So once we've got that shape, you can put it on your cake. Now to make sure you're putting it in the right place, what we'll do is we'll put the head on where the head would go, and then you can see and check that you're just putting the body on in the right place. So we're just going to push that on there, just smoothing off any sharp edges. Okay, so what we're going to do now is look at anywhere that there's lines, and we're going to put these on our cake. If it helps, if you don't want to just do it freehand, you can put little marks in. So I've just got this little tool here, so you can poke through and create a little hole, and it would just give you some little guidelines to follow. If you don't have one of these, it's fine. You could just use a pin or a cocktail stick. Obviously, just make sure that whatever it is you're using is clean. Okay, so you'll see it just gives us a bit of a guideline there to follow. And then you can draw in the shape. Don't worry too much about the hand at this stage, as we can put that on in white over the top. So what we're going to do now is we're going to cut out the hands and we're going to cut out the bib. So we're going to do our bib now with pale yellow, so we're just going to roll that out nice and thin, even. Again, just make sure it's the same size, and we'll cut around this. Gone slightly bigger, but that's fine. And then if you want to work out whereabouts it goes on your cake, then place your template back on the cake, and then we'll pick this up and we'll just stick that in that gap there. We'll just push that down nice and firmly. Just going to push it up and over his shoulder a little bit there. I'm just going to round off the edges gently, and then we're going to put in a little groove that goes all the way around the edge again. He's just got a tiny bit of a yellow bow that comes out from behind him, so it's only really small, so we'll roll that out. Again, nice and thin, just cut a small piece off, and we'll try and cut around this now. Again, sticking back on the body. Just push it right up against that other one, and then have a look to see if it's got any lines in it. Now onto his hands. So we're going to do exactly the same thing using the little hand templates that we've made. So now we're going to move on to the head. I'm going to do the same kind of thing again. But we're going to start with the grey section of his face now. So I'm getting all my other bits and pieces ready now. As you can see, I've cut out the face pieces all individually, and what I've done is I've placed them on where I want them to go, and just lightly marked where my mouth is, where the edge of the cheeks go, so that when I go to put the other pieces on, I know exactly where I want them to go. Okay, so I've cut out the mouth separate and the ears, and then I've started cutting out some pieces. Now for the mouth, I've not worried about cutting this bit out when I've done it in fondant, because we're going to be sticking the nose over the top of that bit, so you're not going to see it anyway, so that's fine. So we'll start with the big grey piece for the head. Now don't worry about cutting these inside bits out, as they'll just go on over the top. Place this on here. We're just going to push that down, smoothing off any lines at the edges where we might have gone a little bit jaggedy with the knife. So now the grey bit's on, I'm just going to work out whereabouts the eyes are going to go. So I've already cut out the eyes, they're just in white. So we're going to place these on here. Move this out of the way a little bit. Just going to push them down at this end. Then we should have marked out whereabouts our mouth is going to go. And I'm going to place that where we put the markings in there like that. So I've cut out the centres of my eyes in black. Just check whereabouts they want to go. And just push that on there. Ooh. Same with the other one. Pushing those on. And we just want a small round oval for each one. So I think it goes about there. Same for the other one now. And then I've cut out the centres of the ears, which I've managed to stick to my paper. So I'll put that one on, and then we'll do the same with the other one. Okay, so what I've done now is cut out the mouth and some little teeth. So we'll move this over here. So we're going to put the teeth in first. So again, to work out whereabouts they're going to go, just hold this in place. So his teeth are just going to go underneath where his nose is. So I'll hold them there lightly to start with. Yeah, and when I'm happy with it, I'll just push them down to keep them in place. Okay. Now you'll see I've cut the mouth area out much thicker. And we're just going to place this on here. And I'm just going to push it down. Rounding the edges off a little bit. Just make sure that the red bit of the mouth is covered sort of to the edges. You don't want any of the white underneath sort of showing through. You play around with it a little bit by pushing in, indenting areas so that you get his little chin. So if we just push it in gently at either side, then it makes his little chin stick out a little bit more. And I'm just going to put the lines in now that come from here. Push that little bit in to round it a bit more. So once we've done that bit, we can add a nose and a tongue. So I've just got a small piece of pink, and we're just going to work it till it's the same shape as that bit on the paper. And we're just going to stick that on there like so. And then the same for the tongue. So again, checking with your mouth, we're just going to create a little oval. It's the same kind of size roughly. Squashed it down a little bit, and then we're going to push that into the corner of the mouth like that. And just neaten off any bits that you can see poking out anywhere. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add some extra little bits of grey now. So, or you can put a little line in where it goes above his nose. So we're taking a small amount of grey, and we're just going to push that just above the pink on his nose like that. So we're just going to roll a small grey little shape now for his eyebrow. I don't want it too big, a little bit thicker in the middle, thinner on the edges, and I'm just going to thin it out at one side. I'm going to stick that above his eye like that. I'm just going to try and thin it out as it comes down, so that we're rubbing it into the rest of his face. It looks like it goes in gradually. Okay, so there it is. There's our baby Bugs Bunny. So it's not too complicated, this one, to do. If you did enjoy the video, please do give it a thumbs up or a share, and feel free to pop over to my Facebook page to have a look at my other cakes and designs. Thanks. If you liked this video and would like to see more, please click on the images of the other videos suggested. Also, please do subscribe to my channel using the button at the bottom right hand corner of the screen. You can also visit my cake website and my Facebook page to see more cakes and ideas.